The office was busy as usual. Phones were ringing. People were typing fast, and voices filled the air. Everyone was rushing to complete their work. But suddenly, the door opened, and silence spread for a moment. A young black woman walked in. Her name was Amara. She looked smart and confident. She wore a neat white shirt and black pants. Her hair was tied back, and she held a small bag and a file in her hand. Some people looked at her with surprise. Others just went back to their work. Amara walked to the front desk and smiled. "Good morning. I'm the new junior assistant. Today is my first day." The receptionist, Jenny, gave her a polite smile. "Yes, we've been expecting you. Please wait here. I'll call the manager." Amara stood quietly, looking around. The office looked professional. She felt a little nervous but also excited. This was her first job after college. Soon, a tall man in a gray suit walked out. His face was serious. His name was Mr. Clark, the office manager. When he saw Amara, he raised one eyebrow. He looked at her from head to toe, not smiling. "You're the new worker?" he asked in a flat tone. "Yes, sir. My name is Amara." He didn't shake her hand. He just turned around and said, "Follow me." Amara followed him through the office. People looked at her as she passed. Some smiled. Some whispered. Mr. Clark didn't speak a word. He took her to a small desk in the corner, far from everyone else. The desk had an old computer and a broken chair. "This is your place," he said. "Don't expect anything fancy, and don't waste time talking. We need results, not stories." Amara nodded. "Yes, sir." Mr. Clark walked away without another word. Amara took a deep breath and sat down. The chair made a noise. The computer was slow, but she smiled. She didn't care. She was ready to prove herself. As the day went on, Amara got her first tasks. They were simple but boring: arranging old files, cleaning up emails, bringing coffee. She did everything without complaint. One of the other workers, Lisa, came to her and said softly, "Don't mind the manager. He's always like that, especially with new people." Amara smiled. "Thank you. I'll be fine." But not everyone was friendly. Some workers looked at her and giggled. One of them said loudly, "She won't last a week." Mr. Clark heard it. Instead of stopping them, he laughed and said, "Let's see how long she stays. Maybe she thought this job would be easy." Amara heard it too. Her heart felt heavy, but she didn't show it. She kept working quietly. During lunch, she sat alone in the break room. She opened her lunchbox and ate slowly. Some people passed by, but no one joined her. Then something happened. Mr. Clark walked into the room. He saw Amara and looked annoyed. He said loudly, "This break room is for staff. Maybe you should eat somewhere else." Amara stood up slowly. "I am staff, sir. I work here." He laughed. "Just because you're hired doesn't mean you belong. Some people just don't fit in." Amara didn't reply. She just packed her lunch and walked out. But her eyes showed something, not weakness, but strength. Outside the break room, she stood near the window, breathing slowly. Her eyes were wet, but she wiped them quickly. "I won't cry," she whispered to herself. "I didn't come here to run away. I came to prove myself. For me. And for my father." No one heard her words, but they were powerful. As the day ended, Amara was the last one to leave. She cleaned her desk, saved her work, and checked everything twice. Mr. Clark passed by and saw her still working. He said, "Still here? Trying to impress someone?" Amara replied gently, "No, sir. I just believe in finishing what I start." He rolled his eyes and walked away. But someone else saw her. Maya, a senior worker, had been watching Amara all day. She saw the hard work, the kindness, and the pain hidden behind her smile. Maya whispered to herself, "This girl, she's different, and I think she's hiding something big." The next morning, Amara reached the office early. The sun had just come up, and the building was still quiet. She liked that. It gave her time to breathe before the day became loud and busy. She turned on her computer, cleaned her desk, and started checking the files Mr. Clark had asked for. One by one, people started arriving. Some nodded at her. A few ignored her. But Amara smiled at everyone. She believed in being kind, even when others were not. Mr. Clark walked in at 9 a.m. sharp. His eyes landed on Amara. He didn't greet her. Instead, he walked to her desk and threw a thick file on it. "These reports are old and messy. Fix them, and don't make mistakes," he said coldly. Amara opened the file. The pages were torn, some were missing, and many were not even in order. She looked up. "Sir, this file is very old. Some pages are gone." Mr. Clark crossed his arms and said loudly, "Then find them, or maybe you're not smart enough for this job." People nearby looked up. A few giggled. Amara felt embarrassed. But she took a deep breath and nodded. "I'll do my best, sir," she said softly. That day, she spent hours fixing the file. She searched old drawers, emailed different departments, and typed everything again. By the end of the day, the file looked perfect. She placed it on Mr. Clark's desk. But when he looked at it, he didn't even say thank you. He pushed it away and said, "Next time, do it faster. We don't have time for slow workers." Amara didn't reply. She just walked back to her desk. The days went by, but the behavior didn't change. Whenever something went wrong, Mr. Clark blamed Amara, even if it wasn't her fault. One day, the office printer stopped working. Mr. Clark shouted from across the room, "Amara, what did you do to the printer?" She stood up, surprised. "Sir, I didn't use it today." "Of course you did. You people always break things and act innocent," he snapped. Amara's hands shook, but she stayed calm. She didn't want to argue. She just walked to the printer and tried to fix it. Maya, the senior worker, saw everything. She was getting upset now. She had seen many new workers come and go, but none were treated like this. During lunch, Maya sat next to Amara for the first time. "You okay?" she asked. Amara looked up, surprised. "Yes, thank you. You don't have to take this. The way he talks to you, it's wrong." Amara gave a small smile. "I know, but I believe hard work will speak louder than his words." Maya nodded slowly. She respected Amara's strength, but inside, she felt angry. She had seen unfair treatment before, but this was too much. Things got worse when Amara gave her first idea in a team meeting. She suggested a new way to organize customer records. It was simple, but smart. Everyone looked impressed. But before anyone could respond, Mr. Clark interrupted. "We don't need your ideas, Miss Amara. Just do what you're told," he said coldly. The room became silent. Amara looked down. She didn't argue. After the meeting, one of the junior staff whispered to her, "Don't worry. Your idea was actually really good." Amara smiled. "Thank you. That means a lot." Later that week, Mr. Clark gave her a task that needed to be done overnight, a full list of client reports, over 100 pages, to be checked, corrected, and printed. He said, "You'll stay late today. If you can't handle it, maybe you're in the wrong place." Amara stayed till 9 p.m. Her eyes were tired. Her back hurt. But she didn't give up. She finished the task and placed it on his desk with a note, "Completed as requested. Amara." The next morning, Mr. Clark didn't even look at her. Instead, he told another worker, loud enough for Amara to hear, "Anyone can stay late. Doesn't mean they're good at the job." Amara's heart sank a little. She walked to the window again during break time. It was her quiet place. She looked out and whispered, "Why does he hate me? He doesn't even know me." But then she remembered her promise, the one she made to her father. "I will never quit because of people like him. I will rise, no matter how low they try to push me." Someone was standing near the door and heard her words. It was Maya. She didn't say anything, but her heart felt heavy. She thought, this girl is strong, but she's hurting, and someone needs to stand with her. Days turned into weeks, and every day, Amara faced the same rude looks, the same cold words, and the same heavy tasks. But she never lost her calm. She came early. She left late. She listened more than she spoke. She worked harder than anyone else in the room. But still, the insults didn't stop. Mr. Clark continued finding faults in everything she did. If a paper was 1 minute late, he would shout. If an email had a missing comma, he would insult her in front of the team. One morning, he threw her report on her desk and said, "You people only know how to act smart, not actually be smart." Amara looked up slowly. Her eyes met his, but she didn't cry. She didn't yell. She simply said, "I will correct it, sir." And she did. Every time he tried to break her, she stood taller. But deep inside, Amara was tired, not just of work, but of always having to prove she belonged. One evening, after most of the office had gone home, Maya stayed behind. She had some work left. As she passed the meeting room, she saw a soft light still on. She peeked inside. Amara was sitting alone at the big table. Papers were spread all around her. Her head was in her hands. Maya knocked gently. "Still here?" Amara quickly wiped her eyes and smiled. "Yes, I'm just finishing the weekly reports." Maya walked in and sat across from her. "You're not okay. You don't have to pretend." Amara looked down. For the first time, she spoke with honesty. "It's hard, Maya. I try to do everything right. I work hard. I stay quiet. But nothing I do is ever enough for him." Maya nodded. "I know. I've seen it all." Amara looked away, her voice low. "He doesn't even see me as a person. Just someone to boss around." "Why don't you report him?" Maya asked gently. Amara gave a small smile. "Because I didn't come here to fight. I came here to learn, to grow, and most of all, to keep a promise." Maya leaned forward. "A promise." Amara took a deep breath. "Before my father died, he told me, the world may not always treat you fairly, but never let it change your heart. Be strong, be kind, and prove them wrong with your actions." Maya felt a lump in her throat. She placed her hand on Amara's. "You're doing just that. You've already proved more than you know." The next day, something surprising happened. A client called the office to thank someone for their fast and clear email support. It was Amara's work. Mr. Clark, instead of praising her, said, "It must be a mistake. Let's hope they don't find a problem later." But Maya stood up. "No, that was Amara's work. She deserves credit." For a moment, the office went quiet. Mr. Clark's face turned red, but he didn't say anything. He walked back to his cabin. Amara looked at Maya and mouthed, "Thank you." More people started noticing. One by one, some workers began coming to Amara for help. She always listened. She never judged. She explained things clearly and calmly. A young intern, Raj, once messed up a report badly. He was scared Mr. Clark would fire him. Amara stayed back with him that evening, helping him fix every detail. Raj looked at her with respect. "You didn't have to help me. Why are you so kind?" She smiled. "Because I know how it feels to be alone." Meanwhile, Mr. Clark was watching everything. He didn't like what he saw. People were starting to like her, respect her, ask her for advice. He tried giving her even more difficult tasks, but Amara kept finishing them perfectly. One day, she even solved a problem the IT team had missed. The entire system was about to crash, and her quick thinking saved the company time and money. When the upper management heard about it, they sent a thank you email to the whole office, with Amara's name on top. This time, even Mr. Clark couldn't hide it. He walked over to her desk and said, "You were just lucky." Amara replied, looking him in the eyes, "No, sir. I was prepared." That moment, Something changed in the air. She wasn't afraid anymore. She had earned respect, not just with words, but with her quiet power. That night, as she packed her bag to leave, Amara stood near the window one last time. She looked up at the sky. "Papa," she whispered, "I hope you're proud of me." Behind her, Maya watched quietly, her eyes full of emotion. She said to herself, "She's not just strong, she's special. And something tells me there's still more to her story." The office didn't feel the same anymore. Something was different. People who once ignored Amara were now saying hello in the morning. Workers who once laughed behind her back were now asking for help. Slowly, quietly, things were changing. Amara still stayed the same, calm, kind, and focused. She didn't act proud. She just kept doing her work, better than anyone else. Maya smiled more now. She often walked past Amara's desk just to say, "You're doing great." Even Raj, the intern, had started calling her the silent boss. But there was one person who didn't like the change at all: Mr. Clark. The more respect Amara earned, the angrier he became. He started giving her harder tasks, last-minute work, and useless corrections. But nothing seemed to stop her. One morning, he called her into his office. His face was cold. "I need you to organize next week's client meeting. It's the biggest of the month. If you mess it up, you're out." Amara looked at him, calm as always. "Understood, sir." She walked out of the room without fear. The next few days, Amara worked like never before. She made calls, sent emails, printed files, checked names, and set up the meeting room perfectly. She made sure every detail was perfect. Even the coffee table had the exact number of cups. Maya and Raj helped her in the background. "You're handling this like a pro," Raj said. "I just don't want to give anyone a reason to say I can't," Amara replied. On the day of the meeting, everyone waited. The top client, a serious man in a black suit, walked in with two assistants. He looked around and nodded slowly. "Good setup." Amara greeted him politely and guided him inside. The meeting went smoothly. The client was impressed with everything, from the reports to the snacks. When it ended, he walked straight to Mr. Clark and said, "Your new girl is sharp. Keep her close." Mr. Clark forced a smile, but inside, he was boiling. Later that afternoon, Maya walked over to Amara's desk and whispered, "You did it. That was perfect." Amara smiled, one step at a time. But just then, something unexpected happened. Mr. Clark sent out a company-wide email saying, "Meeting success was a team effort. Special thanks to senior staff for making it work." He didn't mention Amara's name at all. Raj was angry. "That's not fair. You did all the work." Amara just closed the email. "It's okay. Let him have the spotlight." "But why do you always stay quiet?" Maya asked gently. "Why don't you ever stand up for yourself?" Amara gave a soft smile. "Because I don't need to. Time will speak for me. And people always show their truth, one way or another." That evening, as the office emptied, Amara stayed back again. Maya joined her. "Can I ask you something?" Maya said. "You're always so strong. But who taught you to be this way?" Amara looked out the window. The sky was turning gold. "My father," she said. "He was more than just a parent. He was powerful, respected, but he never showed it off." "What did he do?" Maya asked. Amara paused, then replied slowly, "Let's just say, he was someone many people feared and many more admired." Maya was quiet. She sensed there was more, but didn't push. The next day, the office had a visitor. A black luxury car pulled up outside. The security guard stood up straight. A man in a sharp black suit stepped out. He looked important. His eyes were strong, his face calm, and two bodyguards followed him closely. He walked inside and asked, "Is Amara working here?" Everyone looked up. Amara was at her desk. She stood, surprised. "Uncle." The man smiled. I was nearby and thought I'd check on you. Mr. Clark came rushing out. Sir, can I help you? The man didn't even look at him. He walked straight to Amara, gave her a respectful nod, and said, Your father would be proud. Keep going. You're doing the right thing. Then he left. The whole office was silent. Raj whispered, Who was that? Amara just smiled. Someone who knew my father well. But Mr. Clark looked shocked. He asked around quietly, and later that day found something that made his face pale. The man who visited. He wasn't just anyone. He was a well-known businessman, powerful, connected, and he used to work with Amara's father, a respected figure in the business world, someone Mr. Clark would never have dared to disrespect. Mr. Clark stared at Amara's desk that evening, a strange look in his eyes. Had he made a mistake? Had he picked the wrong person to insult? And now, it might be too late. For the next few days, the office was full of whispers. Who was that man in the black suit? Why did he come to see Amara? Did you see the way security stood up for him? Even the older employees, who never paid attention to Amara before, were now watching her closely. But Amara, she stayed the same, calm, quiet, focused, like always. She didn't try to explain. She didn't tell anyone the truth. She just kept working. But Mr. Clark was not calm. That evening, he sat in his office, typing something on his computer. He searched for the man who came to visit Amara. After a few clicks, he found the name. Mr. Bernard Owens, chairman of Owens Global Group. Mr. Clark's eyes went wide. Owens? That's a billionaire. A big name in international business. He kept reading. And then, he froze. In a small interview clip, Mr. Owens was speaking about a close friend. The caption read, He was more than a friend. General Samuel Johnson was like a brother, a brave soldier, a brilliant mind, a good father. Mr. Clark sat back, shocked. He whispered, General Samuel Johnson. Amara's last name is Johnson. He rushed back to the staff records and checked her full name again. Amara L. Johnson. His hands trembled. He had insulted her, shouted at her, humiliated her, and now he realized her father was a national hero. The next morning, Mr. Clark tried to act normal. But every time he saw Amara at her desk, he looked nervous. He even smiled once, a fake, shaky smile. Amara noticed it but said nothing. Maya, however, had seen the change too. She walked up to Amara during lunch and asked quietly, Is it true? Was your father a general? Amara looked down at her coffee. Then she nodded softly. Yes, General Samuel Johnson. But I don't talk about it. Maya was shocked. Why didn't you tell anyone? Amara replied, Because I wanted to build my own name, not stand in my father's shadow. Maya nodded slowly. But people should know who you are. He was a hero. Amara looked at her and said, Let them know me first, then they can know about him. That afternoon, a senior director from the company's head office visited. She came to review team performances and check how departments were working. Mr. Clark tried to shine in front of her, showing off reports and talking too much. But when she spoke to Amara, she was impressed by how clear, calm, and confident her answers were. You're very professional, the director said. Thank you, Amara replied simply. The director smiled. We need more people like you in leadership positions. That one sentence made Mr. Clark sweat. Later that week, Mr. Clark called a team meeting. He cleared his throat and said, I want to speak about something important. Everyone turned to look. He forced a smile. I may have been too hard on some people before. I believe in second chances and growth, and I think we should all appreciate the value each person brings. Maya and Raj looked at each other. They knew exactly what this was. It was Mr. Clark's way of saying sorry, without saying sorry. But Amara didn't react. She just took notes during the meeting and nodded politely. She didn't need fake words. She already had something stronger: respect. Later that day, something unexpected happened again. A well-known news channel posted a short online video, remembering General Samuel Johnson, a quiet hero. His daughter, Amara Johnson, continues his legacy through her strength, grace, and leadership in the business world. It showed a photo of General Johnson in uniform, and then a picture of Amara walking out of her office building. The video went viral inside the company. People began sharing it quietly in group chats. Everyone was shocked. She's the general's daughter. No wonder she carries herself like that. Mr. Clark is probably crying in his office right now. By the next morning, Amara walked into work, and everything had changed. People stood up when she entered the room. Even the receptionist greeted her with a smile. "Good morning, Miss Johnson." Mr. Clark walked toward her nervously. "Amara," he began, "I didn't know." Amara looked at him. Her voice was calm but clear. "You didn't care to know." He froze. She continued, "You saw my skin, my silence, and thought I was weak. But strength isn't loud, Mr. Clark. Sometimes it speaks last, but it speaks strong." Then she walked away. Everyone in the room stood still. Maya whispered to Raj. She didn't just walk away. She rose. Raj nodded. "And now, the whole world sees who she really is." Mr. Clark sat in his office, staring at his screen. But he wasn't reading the emails. His mind was full of thoughts. He had been wrong, very wrong. He had insulted, mocked, and tried to break a woman who turned out to be smarter, stronger, and more respected than anyone in the building. And now, the whole company knew it. The hallway buzzed with quiet conversations. "Did you see that video about Amara? Her father was a general. And not just any general. He was a national hero. No wonder she holds herself like a queen." Some employees felt proud to work with her. Others felt guilty. And Mr. Clark, he felt exposed. He had always acted like the biggest man in the room. But now his power felt small, because people had seen the truth. Amara had never raised her voice. She never fought back. But somehow, she had won. Later that day, the regional director arrived for a surprise visit. The company had seen the viral news video and wanted to know more. The director met with Amara privately. "You've handled yourself with great dignity," he told her. "Your work speaks for itself. But more than that, your silence showed strength." "Thank you, sir," Amara replied. "We're thinking about offering you a leadership training program. You have what it takes to lead, not just a team, but a department." Amara's eyes widened. She had never expected this. She nodded. "I'd be honored." Meanwhile, Mr. Clark was called into a separate meeting. The director looked at him seriously. "There have been complaints," he said. Mr. Clark sat up straighter. "Complaints? About what?" "About your treatment of junior staff, especially Amara Johnson." Mr. Clark swallowed hard. "I didn't know who she was," he muttered. The director raised an eyebrow. "That's the point. You shouldn't have to know someone's family to treat them with respect." There was silence in the room. "We'll be reviewing your position soon," the director added. "Until then, step back. Let someone else manage the team for now." Mr. Clark felt like the ground had slipped from under him. He walked back to his office, slowly. The same hallway he once ruled now felt cold. No one smiled at him anymore. Even the receptionist looked away. Later that week, Amara walked into the office with a quiet glow. She had been offered a chance to train under top leaders. She would be moving to the head office soon. Maya hugged her tightly. "You deserve this." Raj smiled wide. They finally saw what we always knew. Amara laughed softly. "It's been a long road." But as she packed up her desk, Mr. Clark walked toward her. His face looked tired. His shoulders were low. He stopped in front of her. "I just wanted to say," he began, "I was wrong." Amara looked at him. "I judged you without knowing you. I was unkind. I let my pride and power blind me. And now, I regret it. There was a long silence. Finally, Amara said, "Apology accepted." Mr. Clark looked surprised. "But I won't forget," she added gently, "because forgetting would mean I learned nothing. And I've learned a lot." She picked up her bag. "Have a good day, Mr. Clark." Then she walked away, tall, proud, graceful. That night, Mr. Clark sat alone in his office. He opened an old email he once wrote, titled "New Girl, Needs to Toughen Up." He read his own words and felt sick. Then he opened the video again, the one about General Johnson. It showed the general shaking hands with presidents, helping soldiers, and giving speeches. At the end, it showed him holding a little girl, Amara, smiling proudly. Mr. Clark turned off his computer and whispered to himself, "She didn't need to toughen up. She was stronger than me the whole time." A few weeks later, the office felt different. Things had calmed down, but nothing was truly the same. Amara was gone, but her name still echoed in the hallways. Her desk sat empty, but everyone still looked at it with quiet respect. It wasn't just an empty desk. It was a reminder. A reminder that real strength doesn't always shout. Sometimes it simply shows up, works hard, and rises, no matter what. At the head office, Amara sat at a new desk now. Everything was bigger. The floor was filled with important people, smart minds, and serious meetings. But Amara didn't feel small. She had faced worse. She remembered Mr. Clark's insults, the mocking stares, and the cold shoulders. She remembered how they laughed behind her back. And now, those same kinds of people were shaking her hand. She had earned her place, not because of her last name, but because she had proved herself. One day, Maya and Raj came to visit. Amara took them to lunch near the head office. Raj looked around and laughed. "You've moved up fast." Amara smiled. "Still feels a bit unreal." Maya leaned in. "Do they know who your father is here?" Amara nodded. "Yes, but they also know who I am." That made Maya smile. "That's even better." They talked, laughed, and remembered old days. Before they left, Maya gave her a small gift, a photo of Amara's old desk with a note that said, "You turned silence into strength. We'll never forget it." Meanwhile, back at the old office, Mr. Clark had been moved to a different role. Less power, more paperwork. He still wore his suit and tie, still tried to walk with pride. But something inside him had changed. He no longer looked down on others. He no longer judged someone by their skin, their silence, or their seat. Because one young woman had taught him that titles mean nothing, but character means everything. Back at the head office, Amara sat in her corner office. She looked out the big glass window, her eyes calm. A knock came at the door. It was the company CEO. "Mind if I come in?" Amara stood up. "Of course." He smiled. "We're starting a mentorship program for young workers, especially those from underrepresented backgrounds. We think you'd be the perfect person to lead it." Amara felt something warm in her chest. "Yes," she said, "I'd love to." That night, Amara sat at home and pulled out an old photo of her father. "Dad," she whispered, "I made it." She smiled through soft tears. "I did it the right way, just like you taught me." She placed the photo back on the table, stood tall, and looked out the window. A new beginning had started, not just for her, but for every quiet voice that had ever been ignored.